Now, when I first started looking into the Orchestral Percussion SDX module for Superior Drummer 3, I knew that there was going to be a big learning curve because I had not used Superior Drummer 3 before, and everything I've read about it, all the videos I've watched, it looks like there's an endless, deep amount of functionality for both sound design control, mixing, as well as some other bonus features for not only MIDI drag and drop song blocks, but a audio to MIDI converter that allowed me to do this with the orchestral instruments. Hi, I'm Don Podan from SampleLibraryReview.com. Today we're going to be reviewing the Orchestral Percussion SDX by Toontrack. Toontrack's hit the scene with the CD-ROM drum samples, and the developer has continued to organically grow, creating helpful tools and expansions for their users. I've been an Easy Drummer 2 user for years, and I love the simplicity and absolutely love the continued release of EasyX sampled expansions for the library, which are kind of like my Pokemon, because I've got to get them all. When Toontrack released the Orchestral Percussion SDX, it really piqued my interest. Now, the first thing to note here about the Orchestral Percussion SDX is that there is a barrier for entry, and that is that you must have Toontrack's Superior Drummer. Now, this is a player. They're currently on version 3, and although there is a bundle for the library and the plugin sold together, we'll get to more of those details in a bit. It's hard to review the library without also mentioning my thoughts on Superior Drummer. For those of us who've been using Easy Drummer 2 for a while, the big difference is that Easy Drummer offers you record-ready drums sounds playable right out of the instrument, and Superior Drummer offers you raw, unprocessed samples so you can contour and shape them to your heart's desire. Now, if you're already familiar with the Superior Drummer 3, then go ahead and jump ahead about a minute and we'll get to the review of the Orchestral Percussion SDX. But for those of us who have had Superior Drummer, they will most likely echo my sentiment that just over a year after Superior Drummer 3's release, there's still more to learn about the instrument. The deeper you go into the instrument, the more layers of functionality there are to discover on how to use the sample sets, manipulate sounds, for mixing the sounds, and create new and interesting rhythms. This was designed as Toontrack's professional drum instrument. And a big bonus for those of us with Easy Drummer 2, it does allow you to load in all your kits from Easy Drummer libraries. Superior Drummer is a standalone plugin. It's got 7 different kits and comes with over 230 gigabytes of unprocessed sounds. You've got 11 separate room microphones, and you've got the ability to play back in stereo, but it also supports 5.1 or 11.1 surround sound. There's approximately 350 vintage and classic drum sounds. There's a new improved scalable interface with a detachable window. The instrument also includes edit play styles, song creator, song tracks, as well as a search functionality and built-in MIDI controls. Superior Drummer normally sells for $419 US. But the reason we're all here today is the Orchestral Percussion SDX expansion. It comes with over 120 individual instruments recorded in the same studio as the Superior Drummer 3 core library. Again, it delivers stereo, 5.1 and 11 channel surround, as well as programmed MIDI performances, and 2 different SDX configurations, different interfaces, and different sets of instruments. This library normally sells for $279 US. The bundle, which I mentioned before, does include Superior Drummer 3, the plug-in instrument, as well as the Orchestral Percussion SDX expansion, and that normally sells for $599. The orchestral percussion, you can see it has percussion 1 and percussion 2. The percussion 1, this loads up with a range of what they call lead orchestral instruments, including bass drum, snare, and as you can see, those instruments comes with variations on what kind of beaters they use. Also comes with toms. A wide range of cymbals. Tam-tams and gongs. Some little auxiliary cymbals. And some tubular bells. And of course, taikos. Those taikos comes with some rim hits, as well as a couple other beater options. And of course, there's timpani there as well. And there's even a thunder sheet. The second collection of instruments loads up as Orchestral Percussion 2, and you can see this is all kinds of auxiliary percussion, small handheld percussion, stomps, claps, all kinds of fun stuff. Such a wide range of little handheld percussion, all kinds of auxiliary percussion, great stuff. Now, just like with Easy Drummer 2, you've got the ability to use grooves inside the instrument, and this is one of my favorite jump starter features of the Toontrack's libraries. You're able to just go into Orchestral Percussion 2, let's just pick something and start a groove. Now, with the addition of the mixer inside the instrument, you got the ability to go ahead and add dynamic effects, distortion, reverb, and delay. Now, this is something much further out than I probably would originally use the instrument, with delay or distortion, but just kind of gives you an idea. Of the ability to control some of those grooves inside the instrument's mixer. Now, the other thing that's kind of fun is you're able to actually trigger grooves from different libraries and get some random wackiness. Once in a while, I'll just do something like this. And you could get kind of a rock groove feel instantly playing along with the auxiliary percussion. It's something that's a little more experimental, more of if you're in a time crunch and looking to align up grooves from other drum tracks. So for instance, if I was doing the orchestral grooves, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these. So this is a good example here. You've got all your taiko grooves together here, and you can see they're recorded at certain BPM. Everything inside the instrument tempo syncs, and I'll just play that again with a new groove for us to hear. I'm at 140. Now I'm at 63. One of the amazing things about the library is the ability to just drag over your MIDI groove and then suddenly have it in your DAW. I was just able to drag it straight over and put it in my DAW. That way I'm going to be able to go in, open up the DAW, manipulate my MIDI, and that way I can go ahead and change some of the stuff that I've got going on here. moving around some MIDI notes, I'm able to reprogram what's going on. The instrument's internal mixer gives you the ability to send out your outputs of each and every track for each and every instrument out to a different output in your DAW or as a different bus, which you could mix internally. And instantly available within the mixers, the ability to pull up different drum and mix presets, including stereo, surround, and a special height surround, which really add a lot of depth to those of us who would be mixing in 5.1 or 11.1 for a production. Now there's lots of ways to build grooves inside of the instrument using their track controls, just grabbing different grooves, loading those in, manipulating them. For me personally, I'm a big fan of being able to drag it over into my DAW, manipulate it in my DAW, because I'm just so much faster with my piano rolls there. Now, I really loved the audio to MIDI feature here, and I'm probably going to play around with that even more. And then what I want to do is take that drum desk performance there and export that audio file. And now it's bounced down, so I can go over into my tracker, which is one of the features of Superior Drummer. And I'm going to add that performance right here. It's set to, by default by Tom. It thinks it's recognizing it as a Tom performance. So let's just listen back to what that does. Now with just the snare. Yeah, it's starting to be a little more realistic, a little bit more of an actual performance. Now from here, I'm able to just go ahead and hit my MIDI export. I've got my screen performance, all tracks combined right there, and I could drag it right into my DAW here, and then I've got my performance right there. From there, I can go ahead and continue to change which actual percussion instruments I want to use. If I feel like I got a little sloppy, I could go in and quantize that a tiny bit. Or what I'd prefer to do actually is go into the MIDI data itself and just clean up a couple little things there. So if I wanted to change this whole performance, and because there's a lot of near neighbor hits usually on these, I'm probably going to be able to tweak it out a little bit more. Use a little bit more control over my velocity, bring some of my lowest velocities up a tiny bit. Maybe add a couple more tracks of percussion, all kind of playing similar so that it becomes an ensemble. And then we get this. So with just a little bit of editing, manipulating some MIDI, and I've got the ability to just play some drums on my desk, export that MIDI right out of the beast of Superior Drummer 3, and then reprogram it, map it a little bit around. Would it have been easier to program this right out of the keyboard? I'm not sure. I think that there's a little bit of life that is added to using this kind of feature. I know a lot of drummers will replace actual drum performances with triggers in the studio for that great sound, and Superior Drummer is not lacking when it comes to the great sound, or when it comes to this kind of usage for orchestral things. I don't know. Am I going to use it? I think I'm going to be tempted. I'm going to play around a little bit. Might be really fun, especially once we look over to using things like the Orchestral Percussion 2 module, which has all that auxiliary percussion. I do really love the MIDI drag and out of the instrument, the MIDI grooves you're allowed to get from the developer to plug into the instrument. However, I feel with the orchestral library, it seems a tiny bit limiting, and I think this is because they've broken it out so much into sections. So if you just want a little tambourine part, you can grab one, that's cool. If you just want a taiko part, that's kind of cool. Even in some of the performances, it sounded like there were maybe 3 percussion instruments at max for a groove. Big pro here walking away from this is just, it sounds fantastic, and that has to do with this large dynamic range they've collected for the sample set in what they believe is credited as the quietest studio on Earth. I believe that's what I read in the materials. I think that this is gonna have just an absolutely great dynamic range, and the samples from SDX Orchestral 1 and 2 are really clean and clear, nice selection overall. It's a very realistic sound. Now that's a critique in a bit, although with the expanded ability to control the sound design with the envelopes and ADSR and everything else they've adapted into the instrument SD Superior Drummer 3, you could completely tweak it out, create your own things, which I'm wondering if maybe we're going to see some epic or hybrid presets come out in the near, not so distant future. The availability of 5.1 and 11.1 outputs, that's at a pro level in which I rarely get a chance to produce work. If you're doing serious film scoring, games, then this could be an absolute great way to get 5 and 11.1 out with those. Listening back through it in stereo or just with a sub, you can hear there's a tremendous amount of detail, although many users won't be using all of those details unless they had a full-blown surround mixing facility they're working in. Now, I really loved the audio to MIDI feature here, and I'm probably going to play around with that even more for orchestral drums. There's nothing like being able to pick up some sticks, play a wood block, and have it convert into a drum sound just that has that real human performance and real human not so tied to the grid quantized feel. I think that this is going to be, or could be, one of the neatest things about the instrument coupled with the library for those of us creating orchestral music, the ability to perform each of our percussion parts, regardless of if you like using a drum pad or a MIDI surface. You can just set up your mic and record anything like I did for my little experiment. This is supposed to get even better over time as Toontrack utilizes shared data among all the Superior Drummer 3 users so that it can continue to refine its algorithms for better audio to MIDI. Now, I can't leave the review here without my final thoughts, is that if you're using the EZDrummer 2, then it's going to be a smooth transition, although there's still a learning curve because there's just so much more functionality and so many things to dig into and learn more about, which I'm just scratching the surface of myself. If you're new, then I feel like it's going to be a bit of a challenge to kind of learn everything, and sticking with getting some grooves going, dragging MIDI into your DAW, and utilizing the drum sound presets are really going to be the best way for you to get up and running with it, and then kind of dive into more of the detail as you need it or as you get excited and want to learn more about it. There's a lot of programmability. I'll include 2 links below. The first one there will take you over to Timespace, where they do sell the Orchestral Percussion SDX, which is where we got a review copy. Also include a link over to Sample Library Reviews, Orchestral Percussion SDX page, where we'll have all of the official videos, demos, anything I find around the web, basically. So it's a one-stop resource for you to learn more about the library. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are you thinking about Orchestral Percussion SDX? Is this something that might interest you? Have you already been using it? Because the library's been out for a little while now. It took me a while to get in and dig in and learn all about it here. Love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below. Tell me what you think. As always appreciate your support. Please like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to head over to samplelibraryreview.com for latest news, reviews, and our weekly deals page.